Yes, David, you may start.
Am I visible to everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then. Welcome everyone to another Showstoppers meeting. Are you guys all excited? And today we have a lot to unpack over here. But first, we have to give a round of applause to Toastmaster Sri Devi for taking on board her maiden TMOD role. Can you guys have a round of applause, please? So today I'll be the acting SAA, and wow, I'm sort of liking this role quite a bit. But without further ado, let's get started on the SAA. I'm just sharing my screen. Yes. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. So, what exactly is the club mission over here at Toastmasters or here at the Showstoppers Club? The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment which every individual member has the opportunity to develop an oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth. Now, isn't that a lovely submission for the Toastmasters organization? A Toastmasters promise is to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare for all my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to the club meeting so that they can see the benefits Toastmaster membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters educational and recognition programs, to act within Toastmasters' core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmaster activities. Now, that is a promise we all adhere to.
Yes.
Thank you, Dipanj. But there are some ground rules which we have to follow over here. Please keep your video on when the participant is speaking so that, when you're on Zoom, people do get nervous, especially when you're giving a speech for the first time. But if everyone can see your beautiful smiling faces, they get a boost of confidence. Please keep your mobile phone on silent, and when another person is speaking, on mute. And here at Showstoppers, we do have one principle that when everyone finishes in a speech or a role, depending on whatever it may be, we do give a round of applause, just showcase their support to the club. But the last thing is there are 3 taboo topics which you should not be talking about, which is sex, religion, and politics. Apart from that, you're good to go to speak about anything and everything under the sun. With that, my role as an SAA concludes. I do hope you guys all have a wonderful session. Now we call upon our president, Toastmaster Medhat, to give a few words.
Thank you, Toastmaster David. Thanks a lot for jumping in to take up the role of the SAR and setting the tone for the meeting. So good evening to the DTMs, to the dear guests and fellow Toastmasters. How are all of you? With the holiday season setting in and the announcement of new weekend days in the UAE, most of us have already embarked on the vacation train. Nevertheless, we are Toastmasters and we shall keep having our fortnightly meetings as always. Most of us attended the recent COT training, that is a COT training, and whether it is the new or the old Toastmasters, we have got enlightened about the innovative ways and ideas to keep up the spirits, even during a low count session. Very soon, we shall have a meeting to discuss and brainstorm the new learnings. Secondly, another important thing I want to reiterate is that the Toastmasters journey is a journey that transforms one's personality. And I sincerely appreciate the dedication of my fellow Toastmasters who are projecting, though many are just so fresh in this Toastmaster fraternity, but I can personally see their progress. With the innate maternal instincts in me, I feel so glad and so proud of each member. More so, even when they are reflecting this result of Toastmastering in their personal lives. I would really encourage the members to use this platform to come up with various speeches, various ideas, and excellent ways to evaluate other people. Our club contest date is set for the month of February, the last Monday, that is the 20th February, we will have our club contest, so get up. Now that I see that the contests are at the horizon, and the very fact that most of them are the newbies and about to begin their evaluation project, we have brought in DTM Soumya to enlighten us how to evaluate in the evaluation contest. She will give us all an insight into how to go about the evaluations. With this, I would like to call this meeting number 52 to order with an applause. I welcome fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests to the Showstoppers Toastmasters Club. Thanks to all the guest role players who are a part of our 52nd meeting. It's my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all to the Showstoppers meeting. So let me see if there are any guests present. I was expecting a few. Okay, nevertheless, they'll be joining in soon. Welcome, welcome Toastmaster Medhat. I just see you joining here. Okay, now let me hand over the stage to one of our passionate Toastmasters who is a young mother and still manages to keep up the spirit in all the proceedings of the club. She is a person who doesn't allow grass to grow under her feet. Help me welcome Toastmaster Sri Devi, who is playing a maiden TMOD role. Before that, let me call upon Toastmaster Deepansh, who will read out the minutes of meeting of our previous meeting.
Good evening, Toastmasters. This is the club treasurer, Deepansh Mathur, reading out the minutes of the previous meetings. Our previous meeting was meeting number 51, and the theme of the meeting was Truth or Dare. It was held on 27 November, Saturday. The meeting began sharp at 6:30 p.m. It was a handshake meeting of two clubs, the Pioneer Speech Weaver Club and the Showstopper Club. The SAA TM Hobbies called the meeting to order. She reminded the attendees the club mission, online meeting etiquettes, the podium was then handed over to PSW Club President TM Siva Mamedi for the presidential address. In his address, he emphasized on Toastmasters having SMART goals, which meant goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and finally, time-bound. Then started the Showstoppers Club President TM Amita's address. She emphasized on bringing in creativity in the club meetings. The virtual stage was then taken over by two TMODs, TM Havovi from PSW Club and TM Roshni from the Showstoppers Club. TM Havovi took us through the importance of 50th National Day of the UAE. Then she handed over to TM Roshni, who introduced the theme of the day, Truth or Dare. Following this, the word master TM David came up with the word of the day, camaraderie, which means mutual trust among people who spend time with each other. Then came the prepared speeches for the evening. The speakers were TM Sridevi from the Showstoppers Club, a beautiful mess, that was a topic, and TM Roshan Miranda from PSW Club. His topic was the road less traveled. This was followed by the timers report by TM Nishita, and also voting took place. The baton was then handed over to the table topic master, Toastmaster Surya Bijoy. It was a fun session on idiotic idioms. This was followed by timers report and voting. Then Toastmasters of the day welcomed General Evaluator, Toastmaster Priyanka Prasad. For initiating the evaluation segment, our evaluators, Toastmaster Raji Nair and Toastmasters Amita, evaluated the speeches of their respective speakers and guided them. Then came the timers, report and voting. The virtual stage was then taken over by Toastmaster of the day, Toastmasters Roshni, who entertained everyone with the truth or dare games. Then came the testimonials by members of both the clubs. This was followed by trivia session by Toastmasters Roji Satish. The podium was then taken over by General Evaluator Toastmasters Priyanka Prasad, who evaluated the entire session. Then came the Toastmasters of the day closing by Toastmasters Hobbies and Toastmasters Roshni. This was followed by the presidential closing address and announcement of the winners by both the presidents. The meeting ended on the time at 8:30 p.m. sharp. Handing over the podium to Madam President, Toastmasters Amita.
Thank you, Toastmaster Deepansh, for reading out the MOM and giving, let us recalling our previous meeting. So now I hand over the stage to Toastmaster Sridevi. You can take over.
Thank you so much, Madam. Good evening, Madam President, fellow Toastmasters and future Toastmasters. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Toastmaster Amita. The decade that I grew up was the 90s. As kids, we had only one channel to watch, and that was I'm sorry. Somebody's mic is on.
I request everyone else to mute their mics, please.
I think it is Toastmaster Chaitanya's mic. If the Zoom master can mute him, it will be helpful. I think he's not aware. And Sridevi, go ahead.
Shall I proceed? Thank you. The decade that I grew up was the 90s. As kids, we had only one channel to watch, and that was Doordarshan. The fathers in our homes would slowly turn the antenna and in all direction, and someone in front of the TV would say, "Oh, it has come. Now it has gone." We didn't have mobile phones. Most of our time was spent reading, playing, drawing, and much more. It was a decade of massive transformation for India. It was a decade of fall and rise, of triumph and tribulations. In 1994, for the first time in the history of international beauty pageants, both Miss Universe and Miss World crowns adorned Indian heads in the same year. Aishwarya Roy won the Miss World and Sushmita Sen won the Miss Universe, raising the bar for the Indian beauties. The Tele Revolution. The Tele Revolution had taken the country by a boom. The phenomenon called Sachin had begun in India. Sachin Tendulkar had become India's pride. The Master Blaster didn't just change the face of Indian cricket, but his success story became an inspiration to millions of Indian youth. He became the first icon of the age of satellite television. The music industry too joined the revolution. The album Made in India became the pop anthem and hence a trendsetter. The music channels like MTV and Channel V came in and said, "If you have talent, here is the platform." The 90s were about access to the kind of music that we hadn't heard before. The advertisements we remember till now. The Bajaj ad, the Dara ad, the Pepsi ad, and many more. How many of you would remember the jingles like Buland Bharat Ki Buland Tasveer Hamara Bajaj and Dara Dara Shuddha Dara? These jingles we heard then are still fresh in our memory. It was a golden era of advertising industry. The major difference being the advertisers shifting from thinking in English to dreaming in Hindi. The next major change was the arrival of mobile phones. Phones that had no wires was a wonder to people then. Well, now we may wonder how people survived without mobile phones. But indeed, there was more bonding among friends, family, and even colleagues in earlier days. More money, more entertainment, more connectivity, more music was the beat young India was marching to. With the arrival of internet, the virtual world began to rule reality. Any information at your fingertips made the internet a new mode of communication. You would write an email and get a response the same day. This was mind-blowing for people then. And what made it more extraordinary was that this magical invention didn't discriminate rich or poor. It even reached the common man. In an India where everything was changing, so did the news. A 24-hour news channel was a surprise to everyone then. Today, there are nearly 400 news channels. Television reached even the rural India. It was no longer necessary to be literate to be knowledgeable. Whatever happens anywhere in the world, you get to know in your living room was a huge thing for a common man then. The film industry also had undergone tremendous transformation in the 90s. The films like Bombay spoke about riots, and they mirrored what happened around a common man. Now, I invite the word master of the day, Toastmaster Roshni, to take over the podium. She is an MBBS student, and she's interested in classical dance and art. Toastmaster Roshni, the stage is yours.
Hi everyone.
Roshni, your audio.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, now you are.
Just 1 minute. Just make it more clear.
Will you be able to share the screen, or do you want help from one of us?
Yeah, can someone share the screen, please?
Sure. Is everyone able to see the screen? Roshni?
Yeah, I can see the screen.
All right, go ahead.
So, good evening, everyone. I'm Roshni. So today I'll be telling the word of the day. The word of the day today is nostalgia. Since we are all talking about our favorite decade today, so whenever we think about our past, our memories, the word nostalgia comes. So first, what does nostalgia mean? The definition. It's a state of being homesick, a wistful or excessively sentimental yearning for return to or of some past period or irrecoverable condition. Also something that evokes nostalgia. The different synonyms for nostalgia can be reminiscence, remembrance, recollection, yearning, longing. So how you can use nostalgia in terms of words? Nostalgic. So the word nostalgic means if a person who displays nostalgia for something. A nostalgist is a person who is prone to nostalgia. For example, is Abraham a chronic nostalgist, going so low to the fan base that his nose is rubbing against the floor? Or it could be another example is even a nostalgist might need a suspicious story to explain how things had gone wrong. So these are the different ways, different word forms of the word. A few examples of sentences. Do you enjoy nostalgia or a certain era of radio? Photos of my favorite childhood actors bring on pure nostalgia. For nostalgia's sake, let's do it again. He enjoyed the nostalgia brought on by the show. Or the senior citizens shared stories of the events that made them do the most nostalgic and filled them with longing for the past. Or it could be when the old song came on the radio, Harold suddenly felt nostalgic for his high school years. These are a few examples of the sentences.
Yeah, you can call people for round robin. You can invite people. You can call out.
Okay. So any volunteers?
Call out, yeah, Toastmaster Tina is here.
Hi,
Though she
Toastmaster
would be
Tina.
able to put on the video, she can speak.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Amita and Toastmaster for the word of the day, nostalgia. Okay. The first thought that comes to my mind is I think our TMOD Toastmaster Sridevi has already started taking us down a very nostalgic lane. And I'm hoping that we will be right down to the end of the road. We will still be, beaming and beaming in the nostalgic moments that she set for us. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Roshni.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tina. That was a wonderful use of the word in the sentence. Is there anyone wants to volunteer, or should I call out the names?
Toastmaster Roshan, you can just call out people.
Okay. Toastmaster Rema. Toastmaster Soumya.
Whenever we siblings get together, we spend hours in nostalgic memories.
Thank you, Toastmaster Soumya. That's really useful.
You can call out Toastmaster Umair.
Yeah. Toastmaster Uma.
Toastmaster Uma. Okay. DTM Sudarshan.
Nostalgia is something we all experience and cherish every time we look back at the journey of life that we have encountered.
Thank you, Toastmaster. DTM.
Yes, I can see our guest Umair is ready. You can go ahead. You can try your luck.
Hi, good evening. My name is Umar Kwaya. Then you called me Umar, so then I thought somebody else.
Sorry for that.
Okay. I live in Dubai, and back home there is the nature, rivers, and so many natural things are there. All these are a nostalgic memory for me.
Thank you, Toastmaster Umair. That was a wonderful way of using the word. Any more?
Yes, job well done, Toastmaster Roshni. Now you can actually urge all the members to use this word as much as they can throughout the meeting.
Yeah. I hand over to Toastmaster.
Yes. TMOD, you can take over. Thank you, Toastmaster Roshni.
Thank you, Toastmaster Roshni. Now we move on to the prepared speeches of the evening. We have our first speaker, Toastmaster Nishita. She is a civil engineer specialized in quantity surveying. Her favorite decade is 2010 to 2020, as it taught her many responsibilities and she also learned to enjoy life. She is attempting her L1 P1 project speech. Her pathway is leadership development, and the title of her speech is My Journey. I now invite her evaluator, Toastmaster Medhat, to present the project purpose of the project. Toastmaster Medhat, who will be evaluating Toastmaster Nishita's speech, is a Toastmaster since last 2.5 years. Currently, she is serving as Area 56 Director. She feels content working with people of determination and special needs kids. Over to you, Toastmaster Medhat.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sridevi. Good evening, everyone. So my speaker is going to embark on the journey of Toastmasters by presenting her first speech, which is the Icebreaker. The purpose of this project is for the member to introduce himself or herself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. The speech title is My Journey. All the best. Over to you, Toastmaster Sridevi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Medhat. Toastmaster Nishita, My Journey, Toastmaster Nishita.
Nishita, we are not able to hear you. No, we are not able to hear you.
If you're using a Bluetooth device, I think the device is not working. Not audible.
Have you joined in with your computer audio already?
Yes, yeah. Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
now you're
Yeah,
audible.
now we can hear
Now
you.
you're
Now
audible.
we can.
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Someone has said we all make choices in life, but the end, choices makes us. A very good evening to all the Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Today I'm here to share my journey. Let me first introduce to you all by my name. My name is called Miss Chita. I was born in Bangalore, a very beautiful city in southern India. When mom was pregnant, she had decided if it's a girl, she's going to name Nischita, and if it's a boy, she's called as Nischal. Back in those days, Nischita and Nischal was a very unique name. We don't know where she read those names. The meaning of my name is confidence in Kannada. Mine is a close-knit family of four: dad, mom, my younger brother, and me. Me and my younger brother both are civil engineers. My dad is also into construction field, and my mom is a director for one of the oldest bank in Bangalore. Do you want to know what kind of person I was and how I grew up? When I was a kid, I was very quiet, well behaved, never trouble to my parents, and always listened to them. Even today, I listen to my parents. But in the school, the class teacher always had one complaint: your daughter does not talk in the school. She's very quiet and she does not mingle to anyone. And she requested my mom to encourage her to talk at home. My mom nodded her head and she told, we'll try our best. But until then, I was very quiet. When I joined my pre-university, that's where I started to change a bit. I started to mingle and I started to dare to come out from my comfort zone. After my pre-university, I wanted to pursue my career in fashion designing, but like most of the Indian parents, my mom also wanted us to become an engineer. Me, like most of the Indian kids, I did my civil engineering. I don't repent it now, but yeah. I would like to share my hobbies with you all. I would like to share the slides of my hobbies, which I love to do during my Christmas break. These are the few drawings: the mandala art, the canvas painting, some pencil sketches, clay art, and these were the nappy cakes, which was a personalized present which I made it for my friends for the baby shower. And this is the gardening which I enjoyed most during back in UK. Another phase of my life started in 2009. Most marriages in India are arranged marriage, and so as mine. My husband Ravi, he came for a holiday and our marriage was fixed within 10 minutes. After marriage, in 2010, I moved to UK. It was a roller coaster ride for me, but I would say in a good way. My parents had spoiled me. After that, my husband took that place. Does everything, looks after everything. I just pray to God, let He bless him and be like this so that my life will become easy and blissful. UK was a new country for me, new culture, new place, new job, experienced the winter, -degrees for the first time, snowfall, everything was exciting and fun. I wonder how the heroines act wearing a chiffon. I wonder how heroines just wear a chiffon sarees and dance in snow. For me, getting out from the house was wearing like 4 or 5 layers of clothes. I used to get out. I really miss being in UK. I'm feeling nostalgic now. I miss scraping the windows, snow from the windows of the car windows. I miss shivering. I miss dressing up in layers. I miss falling in snow. I lived the most memorable and lovely part of my life. After 5 years of marriage, we had a lovely daughter on 14th February 2014. Yes, she's a Valentine's Day baby. She would have missed this day by 1 minute. You all can understand how much pressure we had. My life changed again and taught me how to live my life. I love 30s. I'm still in 30s, not cross 30s. I learned to enjoy my life. I learned it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay if house is messy. It's okay, I can't please everyone. Everyone. I had my good friend circle with who are in my comfort zone, and I had my dream job. I always wanted to work on highways. I was a quantity surveyor for the Highways England's biggest project from Cambridge to Huntingdon. Everything was perfect, but then we had a twist in our well settled life. 4 months back, we moved to Dubai. New place, new culture, everything is new. That's when we realized that how introvert person I had become. After moving to UK, we felt like every decade my lifestyle is changing. After moving to Dubai, we realized how introvert I was, and my husband introduced me to the Showstoppers. I'm glad I made the decision and took my first step. I would like to thank all the Toastmasters of Showstoppers for giving me the opportunity and perform the different roles. Thank you all once again for listening to my speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Nishita. Now I request everyone to rise and give us a standing ovation to the Icebreaker.
Thank you. I was a bit nervous towards the end.
It was. Now it's time for the next speech, Toastmaster David. He is our VPPR of the club. His favorite decade is 2010 because of all the video games and movies that came out then. He is attempting his L4P2 speech titled Team Technology. I now invite the evaluator, Toastmaster Surya, to present the purpose of his project. Toastmaster Surya is a freelance journalist by profession, a member of 2 Toastmasters Club, TGIS and PSW clubs. She loves the 90s decade as she had been in a school and college, fun times and carefree life then. The stage is yours, Toastmaster Surya.
Good evening, everybody. And thank you so much, TMOD and Sridevi, for that introduction. And best wishes for your maiden role today. You're doing very well. And indeed, it's a nostalgic time because all of us must be thinking about our childhood right now. You're doing a wonderful job. We're all back in our childhood. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Now let me come to my purpose for, I have to read out the purpose statement for Toastmaster David Isaac. The purpose is, the objectives are, the purpose of this project is for the member to lead a small team to the completion of a project. And the second purpose is for the member to share some aspect of his experience leading a team. This is, as you know, it's his level 4 P2 project, and his path that he's taken is leadership development, and the title of the speech is Team Technology. Best wishes to you, Toastmaster David. Over to you.
Toastmaster David, Team Technology, Toastmaster David.
Thank you so much, TMOD, Ms. Sridevi, and thank you so much, Toastmaster Surya, for that lovely introduction. So, before we begin, I'd like to say a quote. Leadership is not about a title or designation. It's about the impact, how you inspire, and how you delegate, by Robert Sharma. Before we begin the project, this is definitely going to take me down on a nostalgic road. But before we begin, let's start with the first session. Over here on the back, can you guys see? This is my time machine. We're going to go back in time for 3 weeks. 3 weeks when I was in uni and our professor came on board and said, guys, we need a new team. We need 10 people to audition. We need to take them for our public speaking competition in EEG. What is EEG? EEG is the Emirates Environment Group public speaking competition. Something that we were under the assumption it'd be only us 5 who's going to go there. But when our professor came on board and said, we need 10 new people, we need 10, and we need you to mentor them, we need you to train them, we need you to present, make them presentable in front of the audience. But what time frame was this, may you ask? In 1 week, we were like, okay. So we all conducted a halfly arranged audition. We got our notebooks, we got our pencils, and we were listening to 10 people speak, and we were rating them. Okay, you are confident. Yay, tick, 10 points. You have good voice modulation, 10 points. You have clarity of speech, another 10 points. Information, we can work on that. So that was the impact. My team in particular was traveling in, it was the international team, you could say. We had somebody in the US, somebody in India, somebody in Ras Al Khaimah, and somebody who was working full time at that time. So my team, no practice. Leading a team, go for it. We randomized the selected number of participants and allocated 5 people for my team, 5 people for the other team, which my fellow Toastmasters in my club had the duty of mentoring. I was under the assumption, is this possible? Am I going to think on how to lead a team when my own team isn't present? Am I going to be able to mentor a team? And the topic is technology. How can we be technological? How can we apply the use of technology with sustainability in an environment competition, competing against nearly 80 universities across the GCC? No pressure. The funny thing is, when I brought that up to Ms. Sakina, God bless her soul, she said, David, I have faith in you. You can do it. Thumbs up. I said, thank you, ma'am. Peace. As you guys know, my trademark is the peace. We move forward to meeting the team members. We had Ariba, we had Yusuf, Samir, Deborah, and Sanaz, all freshmen and 1 senior who was graduating in a week's time, to a competition, to a public speaking competition they've never experienced. The global, the standard public speaking competition in the UAE. I looked at them and I said, guys, are you ready to lead? Are you ready to win? I thought I was being Jordan Belfort and utilizing my Wolf of Wall Street skills of motivation or enacting like Leonardo DiCaprio. Unfortunately, they looked at me with shock. Win? Are we going to actually win? Who are we competing against? Well, I said, 80 other universities, including my team. They said, David, can we leave? I was like, no, please come back. You'll be fine. We move forward to the practice session. We look at each other and be like, which one of you can do what? I was not going to present them with, okay, Ariba, you do introduction. Yusuf, you close. Deborah, you present the information. I wanted them to feel comfortable. That's something I was taught in school, and that's something I learned in experience. If you give an opportunity for an individual to let out their strengths, why not utilize that? It was then where I realized these people, these freshmen, are so creative. They can take charge. And I was thinking I was going to be too harsh on them. But we all had a good time. We bonded. In 1 week, I spent more time with team technology, which is the team we named ourselves, than my actual team. We felt like a family. That was our introduction. Time machine, can we go back to the week of EEG? Now we are in EEG. My team internationals come back and is presenting the topic about education. We go up on stage and say, we will do this, we will do that. I do not particularly remember the content of my speech because it was a long time ago, 2 weeks, but we performed well. We were so happy. Everyone is saying, you're so good, you're so good, you're so good. We got the results. We didn't win, and that just dropped our motivation to the standstill. We were all dejected. We were all disappointed. We were all depressed to an extent. And the people who pushed me up further the most was my own team technology. They told me, David, you're our mentor. We can't see you so low. Please come back up. And that gave me so much confidence. And that made me realize in leadership, if you can be a support to the others, if you can help them do something, they will push you forward. The next day was their speech, and I realized if I can be sad, I can be depressed, but I need to be there for my team. And leaders need to be there for their students, for their team, for their employees, whatever the case may be. We go up on stage and they perform out of this world. I was surprised. The whole university was surprised. They came fourth. Out of 80 universities, they came fourth. And when the president was telling that, you guys did so well, you guys did so well, they said, we like to thank David. And I said, I like to thank you. I learned leadership is an amazing skill. This was my benefit with leadership, leading my team to fourth. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster David. I now request the timer to give her report.
Toastmaster Nishchita took 5 minutes, 10 seconds, and Toastmaster David took 7 minutes, 15 seconds. So both are eligible for the voting.
Okay. Toastmaster Tina.
Sridevi, you can go on. The poll will happen.
Now it's time for the most interesting part of the session, table topics. I now invite the table topics master of the day, Toastmaster Deepansh. Toastmaster Deepansh likes cycling, swimming, and sketching. His favorite decade is the 2000 to 2010 because he was in his primary and middle school at that time. The virtual stage is yours, Toastmaster Deepansh.
Yeah, good evening, Toastmasters. So I'm hereby bringing the table topics for you all. So we'll be choosing numbers, and the number that we choose, with that I'll be giving a question to you. So would someone like to volunteer, or should I start picking the participants?
Deepansh, go ahead. You go choose anyone.
Okay, Toastmasters David, what number would you like to choose?
Between which numbers?
1 to 10.
Let's go number 7.
Okay, so who has been your support system for the longest time, and what have you done for them to feel appreciated?
Oh, wow. Well, thank you, Toastmaster Deepansh, for that question. Who has been my support system for the longest time, and what have I done to make them feel special, right? Appreciated.
Yeah.
I would say my parents have been my number one support system, along with my brother. They have supported me for everything. Me starting a podcast or me wanting to pursue Toastmasters, they pushed me for every speech, they pushed me constantly, or to do anything in university, be it sports, be it public speaking, be it dramatics, like dramatics in theater, you could say. Anything that's not the norm, they just said, go for it. You have our support. As long as that makes you happy, you can go for it. And what have I done to make them feel appreciated? I remind them saying that, thank you, parents. Thank you, guys. Thank you, mom. Thank you, dad. Thank you, brother. But I think one of the most happiest things I did was when I was working in 2019, and I was able to, with my first salary, I was able to take them out for dinner, my whole family. And it was because of them that I was able to get my job. Like, they allowed me to go work. And when I was able to go, we were all go out for dinner. We went for hot pot, Chinese chopsticks, and Korean barbecue. That was one of my most happiest moments. And I think that's what they even say, that, David took us out for dinner. So that's mine. Over to you, Toastmaster, table topic master, Dipansh.
Yes, that was a nice one, Toastmasters David. And now I would like to choose Mr. Umar Koya. So unmute yourself. Yeah.
Number 5.
Number 5. Okay, so if you had to change something about your past, what would that be? And how would you do it different today?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for asking me this question. Every day, actually, I'm trying to change what I did in the past. Because today, what we are is the product of what we did yesterday. So what we want to be tomorrow, that will be definitely based on what we're doing today now. So I think I'm doing the best what I can do, that I'm attending Toastmasters. Thank you.
So who's next?
You can actually urge Toastmaster Umer Koya to go on for a little more time, because he has just completed 28 seconds. You can try.
Yeah, thank you. Because actually, I'm not much aware about the timing. So
it's okay. You are supposed to be speaking between 1 to 2 minutes, and you can go on up to 1 minute, maximum 2 minutes.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I came after my duty and I'm really tired. But when I attend this program, it's a completely, I don't know any one of you. And I don't know from where you people are sitting, and no any idea, completely blank. So I think this best thing and most exciting thing I am doing now. No, really, I'm talking from my heart. It's really amazing people, and we are all sitting here for a common goal, I think, to develop our communication skill, leadership qualities. Really, this is what I can do, what I was not did yesterday or in the past. This is the best I am doing. I have nothing to talk more, actually. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. No issues at all. It's lovely hearing to you. Thank you. Yes, Dipansh, continue, please.
Okay, so since no one's taking the initiative, Toastmasters Roshni, what number would you like to choose?
4.
Number 4. Okay, so which was your favorite holiday destination during your school breaks, and what was your favorite memory? Did you have any nostalgia, and what do you remember? Like, what's the most memorable vacation spot for you?
Okay, I remember that in my 6th grade, so my family and I, we went for a summer vacation to Shimla and Manali. So I feel that was the most memorable experience for me, because as a child, it was the first time I've seen snow, because all my life I've grown up in the desert, and I'm like, so I was really happy. And I remember there were a lot of I made these snowballs and did that the snow butterfly thing, and it was like I enjoyed this horse rides on the way to Manali, and yeah, I also, yeah, I mean, I usually always like my family trips. I used to always wait for them every summer vacation because it used to be something which we all enjoyed together after a long break, and it was really fun. And I feel that destination was my most memorable because as a child, I really enjoyed that a lot. I my memory is a little bad. Like I don't remember most of the things, but whatever little I remember is with the pictures and all. I remember my dad taking. We had this video camera at that time when there were not many smartphones, so all our memories are in that video camera. And yeah, it's nice. It's fun to look back to those videos and enjoy the times and reminisce the time that I spent.
Shimla was my memorable trip too, as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who's next? Toastmaster Sridevi.
I would skip that, Deepansh. I had a lot of screen time already.
Okay. Toastmasters Nishchita.
Okay. Let's pick number 2.
Number 2. Okay, so if you have to bring something back from your past in your present life, what would that be?
I'd like to share something. In 2020, I lost my dad because of COVID. If something I want to bring back now, it's I just want my dad back to my life. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Please speak for at least a minute. Add on to this. Add on something to this.
Yeah, that's what in 2020, I should have gone to an India trip because of COVID situations. I could not do it. So my dad wanted to see me. So see me because he used to call me every day to come to India. But because of COVID, flights were not there from UK to Bangalore. So I could not do it. And I wish I could bring back, I could have gone and I could have spent some last days with him. That's all. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to hear that. So Toastmasters or DTM Sudarshan, would you like to volunteer?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Give me the topic.
No, so you need to choose a number between 1 to 10.
Left?
So 1's left, 3's left, 6 is there, 8,
Give me 1.
9, 1. All right.
1.
Yeah, so if you had a time machine, which year would you like to choose to land in and why is that?
It was a dark night. Bombs were raining. Our nation was at war with our neighbor. And we were fighting to save our pride, prestige, and territory. I was in the GNAT. I was strafing the enemy lines. As their tanks were advancing, bombs from my aircraft were hitting the target precisely. And this was when I landed and the President of India, on my lapels, put on the medal and called me Wing Commander Sudarshan. Welcome back. If I had a time machine, I would like to go back to 1971, to the India-Pakistan war, the liberation war of India and Bangladesh, and be a part of the Indian Air Force. Because those were the stories that I've always grown up on. I had 3 uncles who participated. 2 of them escaped with severe injuries but brought laurels to the nation. And one of them was the person who transported his 2 brothers back to safety in the largest Indian Air Force aircraft of that point in time. So if possible, I would like to don those blue lapels and that beautiful blue hat and be in the cockpit of the best fighter plane that was available in India at that point in time. I wish I get an opportunity one day to fulfill this particular dream. This was indeed a walk down memory lane, and this is a walk that I keep taking just before I rest my eyes for the night. But if possible, in reality, it could happen. Give me a time machine and I will be there. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
So, Toastmasters Amita, do we still have time or for one or two more questions, or it's the
You
time
can take
up?
up one more. You can take up one.
Okay, so who would like to volunteer?
Call Tina. There's one guest I can see, Priyanshu.
Yeah, Priyanshu, would you like to volunteer for table topic?
Okay, call Tina.
Yeah, Toastmasters Tina, would you like to participate for the table topic?
No, don't ask, would you? Say did you participate? That's all.
Okay, which number would you like to choose?
What's left? What are the slim pickings?
3, 6, 8, 9, and 10.
3, 6, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
I'll take 10.
10? All right. So, so who's your oldest friend? And how did you guys meet? And what made your friendship last for so long?
Good evening, dear Toastmasters. My best friend till date, I think I would like to say, is my husband itself. And I met him 21 years back when we were in the same college. We did our MBA together. Of course, he was a total nondescript person. I totally ignored him initially, but safe to say he is the one who pursued. We started out as very good friends. And I think we had a long courtship. We had to do a lot of, we had to go through a lot of hurdles to make sure that friendship lasted. And if you ask why the friendship still lasts, I think it's only probably one of the reason is probably the the tie of marital tie that's there around my neck. But more than that, I would like to say that it's the reason why. It's because he makes me laugh every single day. I mean, even to this date, my friends make fun of me, like saying, Tina, you are the only person who can stand his silly jokes and who would actually laugh at his stupid jokes, which is true. We still make each other laugh. And I think that is the only reason why this friendship stands. If you're able to make your friends and everyone around you laugh, your relationships will definitely last. And so that's why I would like to say my husband is my best friend till date and hopefully till the end of time too. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Deepansh. Over to you.
Okay, so I think the time for table topic is over now. And
I will read out the timings of all the table topics. Toastmaster David took 1 minute 30 seconds. Toastmaster Umair Khoya took 28 seconds. Toastmaster Roshni took 1 minute 42 seconds. Toastmaster Nishchita took 35 seconds. DTM Sudarshan took 1 minute 56 seconds. Toastmaster Tina took full 2 minutes. So except Umair Khoya and Nishchita, everyone else is eligible for voting.
Thank you, Madam President. It's now time for the evaluation segment. I'm privileged to invite DTM Sudarshan to initiate the evaluation segment. He has been a Toastmaster for past 8 years. Currently, the president of SSY Toastmasters Club, professionally a banker. He has also achieved his DTM. His favorite decade is the 1970s because R.D. Burman and Beatles made the best music in this decade. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. We are all Toastmasters here. Nobody is a sir. I have not been knighted, so no need to call me sir or any such thing. Toastmasters and guests, this is that segment of our meeting where we look at what we have achieved, how much we've been able to influence and touch all members of the audience, and above all, what are those dizzying heights that we would like to reach when we are continuing on our quest to become better speakers and better communicators. That will be done for all of us by our evaluators. So the first evaluator that I'm going to call upon to evaluate the icebreaker speech delivered by Toastmaster Nishchita is someone that is an effervescent, ebullient Toastmaster that can be seen across the spectrum of Toastmasters all across Dubai. She is ever present and ever ready to deliver any role. And today she is donned the hat of an evaluator. Let's join our hands together to welcome up on stage Toastmaster Medhat Siddiqui to deliver the first evaluation. Toastmaster Medhat, the stage is all set for you.
Thank you so much, TT and Sudarshan. You never cease to amaze me whenever you're introducing me. So thank you so much. It's an honor to be introduced by you. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Let me see, where is my speaker? Yes, there you are. Toastmaster Nishchita, are you sure this was your first speech? That was my question. I love the way that you have introduced yourselves. This was your first project as an icebreaker. And I love the way that you actually depicted that confidence, which your name says that your name means confidence. It was displayed throughout your speech. I loved how you confidently begin your speech, introduced to us, and then in a very beautifully, in a chronological manner, I would say. You took us from the point where you were born through every stage of your life, how it was. And while you were narrating us the story of your life, your journey, we could actually imagine, oh, okay, everything about the place you were, where you were born, what sort of family you belonged to, then how it was like in UK when you were staying there, what is like when you shifted to UAE, what were the changes. The thing that I was impressed is that this is your first speech and you were able to incorporate the word of the day. So that's another point goes to you. I really like the way you have structurized your speech. I cannot see the timer.
You have time, keep going.
Okay, so I love the way you have structurized your speech. You know exactly how to begin. You had the main body, you included every single part, every single detail, and then you had the conclusion of your speech. So if I have to give you a feedback as a speaker, I would say that this was your first speech. You were confident, you were natural, you know exactly what message you have to send across. I really like how you said that it's okay, you can't be perfect all the time. It's okay that if you're unable to please everyone. I love these very subtle and small, simple messages that you have incorporated in your speech. And yet at the same time, you were able to share your journey with us. Now, if I have to give you a feedback, since this is your first speech and we are more focused about the structure, basic structure of the speech, I would suggest that next time, try to work on the closing as well. Yeah, that is an important part. It's just like how you complete a pearl necklace, that there should be a starting and then at the ending so that you can loop it beautifully together. So my only feedback would be maybe the closing, that you could have worked a little bit more, and try to position your camera in a better manner next time when you are presenting your speech. And something that I want to give you as a challenge for your future speeches, that keep taking up roles, keep giving us speeches, because we'd love to hear your experiences that you have shared in just 5 minutes, 10 seconds, and we were thrilled and amazed. So overall, I would say that you are a confident speaker. You exactly know how to put your message across. You knew how to structurize your speech. Maybe a few things that you can, just a points to give you to improve, is that try to work on the closing as well. That is an important part of our speech, and positioning of your camera. Other than that, the challenge I really want to give you is that Keep giving up more speeches, keep sharing your experiences, keep taking up roles, and the more you do, the better you'll become at. Stay blessed, and keep inspiring us with your journey. Thank you. Over to you, DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Medhat. That was evaluation number 1. Without wasting any further time, let's go on to evaluator number 2. Another Toastmaster that I have looked up to many a number of times. Today again, she displayed her aplomb when she spoke to the TMOD and talked about the theme and the details of it. Let's welcome up on stage Toastmaster Surya Bijoy to deliver the second evaluation. Toastmaster Surya, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, DTM Sudarshan, for that wonderful and warm welcome. And let me now begin with my work. And it's a joy to come here and listen to a speech, because especially from Toastmaster David, it was like you're talking to a college boy and he's talking about his college experiences. Been revoked thanks to our TMOD Sridevi. And okay, let me first congratulate Toastmaster David for choosing this topic, and because it's about teamwork, and the teamwork and all the objectives, both the objectives have been met beautifully. And I really liked the speech a lot, because it was like listening to a person with his experiences spoken out with so many expressions. It was like, you're talking to a good friend, not listening to a speech. You never got bored for a minute, because it was fast, and the way he was conversing, the dialogue delivery especially, I like that style of the question and the answer, the fear part, his experiences that he was sharing naturally when you lead a team. And I like both the ways he judged his team, in the down period and in the up period. So both were expressed very well. I even liked that, it was so emoted so well. You had a very good audience connection. You looked straight to the audience when you had to look straight. You looked during the conversation style also, you really did it well, especially that picture, the way you were talking to your team. Everything was so, very casual, very natural, and not at all boring. That's the best part about, when you share an experience, it should audience that they want to listen, and they also get out of their fear and start leading a team. And I like even you used the word of the day also very well. So overall, it was really nice. And even the slang expressions of your fingers, what you showed, it was so connected. Anybody could connect with it, because it's so natural. I think you should continue with your natural way of speaking. It should come out from the heart. The way you do, you're doing a fabulous job. Continue with it. And the only thing I would like as a suggestion that I must give is that you should try to bring in a little more pauses between the different stages of your speech, because somewhere there is a clarity might be missing because of the structure. Okay, so just try to bring a little pause, or you could add in some quote or something like that to just vary it from where you are moving from, from the beginning to the end. That would bring a more clarity to the listener, especially because if you see that's the only part which I feel you should work on, and try to bring a clarity in the structure, especially the ending and the opening. Both could have a nice punch also added. You did it well. There was no harm in it, but it's a different style altogether. It's done very well. Out of the box kind of a treatment to a team, kind of a team experience. And I think you'll do very well in your level 4, must be over by now. So all best wishes to you. Thank you so much. Over to you, DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Surya. Madam Timer, could you please share with us the time taken by both the evaluators?
Toastmaster Medhat took 3 minutes 10 seconds, and Toastmaster Surya took 3 minutes 14 seconds. Both are eligible.
So both are qualified. Great.
Yeah.
So if you would be kind enough to launch the polls, we could vote for the best evaluator of the evening. Thank you. And with that, I now hand the stage to the president of the club to introduce the next session, which is the pièce de résistance of today's evening, And to do the honors, I'll now call upon the president of the club. Madam President, please take over.
Thank you, DTM Sudarshan. Our educationist this evening is a loving mother, a passionate mathematics and Sanskrit teacher, a photography enthusiast who loves putting her friends in a spot by clicking them randomly, a dedicated Toastmaster for the past 8+ years. She has served her clubs, area, division, and district in various leadership roles. An ace debater and a champion evaluator. We are indeed privileged to have her conduct this session. Please put out your hands together in a thunderous applause and welcome DTM Soumya Rangarajan.
Thank you so much, Amita. I've never heard so many superlatives in my life. Thanks a ton for that introduction. So good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I love the evaluation segment of Toastmasters meetings, and it's always a pleasure to do an evaluation session. Now, I was told that there are a lot of newcomers present here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to breeze through the initial part of it on why evaluation is necessary and so on, and try to stop a little longer at the parts on how to do an evaluation. For the major part of it, I will not be using a presentation, but there may be times when I would like to share a screen. Amita, I trust that I have that facility. Okay. And the initial part of my session is for 20 minutes. Timer, I would like you to give me 15, 18, and 20. Show me the timing cards at 15, 18, and 20. Okay, now to begin. Let's start by defining what exactly is an evaluation. So as I said, I'll quickly breeze through it. An evaluation is a timely feedback that we're going to offer a speaker so that they feel motivated to come forward to do more and more projects. It's a validation of their strengths. You tell them what you found strong in them so that they feel convinced of their capabilities. And also it's an opportunity to point out a few areas where they can really make improvements. And these areas of improvement don't have to be large ones. They could be very minor ones. For example, like Medhat said, Nishchita, will you just place your camera better? So that's nothing to do with her speaking, but it's just about how she's presenting herself. So even small pointers like this are a part of the evaluation. Now, generally, we tend to believe that an evaluation is something which is relevant only to the speaker, useful only to the speaker. But that's far from the truth, because when you do an evaluation, it's an indirect, impromptu speech for yourself also, for the evaluator. So it builds your impromptu speaking skills, your analytical ability, and more than anything, it tests your ability to focus and listen. So for an evaluator also, doing an evaluation gives great strength as a speaker. And when your speeches and your evaluations are good, the club stands to benefit because you're going to improve the standard of everyone. And also you have growth indirectly for the club. Now, let me first tell you about some of the guidelines that an evaluator needs to observe. Now remember, when you're doing an evaluation, you're not here to criticize or judge or instruct a speaker. You're only offering your own opinion on what you thought about the speech. So remember, do not take on an attitude of being a lord and master who is offering a verdict. No, not at all. You're just sharing an opinion. You need to applaud, motivate, inspire, and yet be honest. Now, this might sound like a tall order. Now, how do I keep on inspiring a person, motivating them, and yet be honest? You can do it by adopting the right tone and language. You can offer constructive recommendations, and the way you put it across is what makes the speaker want to take the suggestion you put forth. So it all depends on the way it's projected, your tone, and the language you use. And as I said, you're not there to instruct or judge. So whatever you're offering is actually a personal opinion. Personalize your evaluation. You're going to talk about when your sentences should be in first person. As in, what I liked about your speech. Don't say what we liked. What I liked, what I think you could do, what I enjoyed the most. So make it in first person as it being your opinion. Of course, you can say things like, from all the laughter I heard, I do believe that others also enjoyed it. That you can say. But when you're offering an opinion, keep it in first person. Obviously, you're going to point out strengths. You're going to point out a lot of strengths, and particularly when you're doing icebreaker, evaluating an icebreaker or the initial speeches, be very positive in your approach and point out the strengths and what you really liked. But in Toastmasters, the entire purpose of an evaluation segment is only because we believe that every speaker can become better. Every speech can be improved upon. And that is why it's absolutely essential that you do give recommendations, even to the best speaker, even to somebody who you're extremely impressed with. Your role there is to offer a recommendation. So try to find scope for what you think can be done better. Now, oftentimes it happens that, say, if you are a novice and you're faced with evaluating a very senior Toastmaster, you become very nervous. My God, I've heard that this person is so good. What am I going to evaluate? That's a very wrong approach, because however good the speaker is, you are going to evaluate that day's speech. So don't get carried away by the aura of a speaker. For all you know, the best of speakers may perform badly on that day, because it happens from day to day, speech to speech, your quality changes. So evaluate the speech, not the speaker. Do not get carried away by the aura of a speaker. Now, specifically talking about a contest, I'm just going to share my screen to show you one slide. In a contest, this is how the marking is done. You are awarded 40 marks for the opening analysis and pointing out strengths, 30 marks for recommendations, 15 for technique, and 15 for closing. Okay, so bear this in mind when you're structuring your evaluation. So you cannot do an evaluation without a closing. You straight away stand to lose 15 points. And here when you say technique, this is what I said is the tone, the language, and the way you present your evaluation, which carries 15 points. And if you fail to offer a recommendation, see, it carries 30 points. So you must find a way to offer recommendations. Now that was your evaluation does not start only when the speech begins. You need to do a lot of spade work. Now, what is the spade work? Now, if you're going to be doing an evaluation of a project speech in a club, the first thing you need to do is get familiar with the objectives of that project. In pathways, in particular, you have extensive material. So you must, it's not just the speaker who goes through all the details, but even as a evaluator, you need to go through all the details of the project, find out what the objectives are. If it's a level 1 project that you're evaluating, remember there's a speech which is evaluated first, and then it's repeated, and then presented again. So if you're going to be that evaluator who does the evaluation for the second time, go through the previous evaluator's notes and see what they have pointed out for the speaker. What are the areas of improvement provided, so that you get an idea of whether the speaker has actually worked on those suggestions. The third point I would say is speak to the speaker about specific concerns. This is probably applicable when you do higher level projects. Speak to the speaker and ask them if they would want you to focus on something. Say, for example, if I were to do a speech and I spoke to my evaluator, I know in general that I have a problem with stage movement. So I would probably tell my evaluator that this is something I have worked on, I have tried to work on. So just see if it's effective enough. That is something probably I would like to tell them. And another very important aspect, according to me, is to prepare yourself with the right vocabulary. And for a few seconds, I would like all of you to unmute yourselves and answer when I ask you a question, okay? When I say prepare yourselves with the right vocabulary, I think adjectives are very, very important in the English language. And what happens is most of us have a set of words which we tend to repeat. It's not that we don't have a wide vocabulary. It's just that those words don't occur to us at the right moment. Okay. So what happens, we tend to keep repeating the words. We use these all-purpose adjectives. When I say all-purpose adjectives, fabulous, wonderful, beautiful, spectacular, lovely. It could be a beautiful flower, it could be a beautiful speech, it could be a beautiful message, you could be beautiful. So it doesn't really convey what you're trying to say. Try to equip yourselves with more apt words to describe what you're going to say. Okay, now I'm going to just throw a word at you. Give me an adjective for it. Vocal, I don't want to chat. We just quickly move on. So for a story, how would you describe a story? I don't want lovely or beautiful. Yes, David. Sorry, David, I didn't get you.
Interesting.
Interesting. One more.
Memorable.
One more. Thrilling. So just think, you can think of so many absorbing story. It could be a touching story. It could be a moving story.
Nostalgic.
Just a lovely. Nostalgic, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Message. So can you close the door?
Dreading.
Sorry, message?
Dreadful message.
Dreadful message. Oh my God, I hope nobody is giving us a dreadful message here. Something else?
Pleasing.
Inspiring.
Inspiring, okay. See, again, inspiring is something which Toastmasters keep using, okay? So you have brought in a new word.
Exciting.
Exciting message, okay? I'm not really fond of exciting also because, again, it seems general.
Joyous.
Joyous. I would have thought of thought-provoking. A sensitive. Yes, yes. Okay, opening of the speech.
Dramatic.
Captivating.
Dramatic, good.
Captivating.
Captivating, good. Voice.
Modulation.
Powerful voice. Powerful voice.
Sharp.
A powerful voice.
Powerful voice. I think powerful is something we keep using for the voice. Something more?
Charismatic.
Charismatic. You can
Sharp
voice. Voice. Your voice
Mellifluous. Mellifluous.
Mellifluous, absolutely. Stance. Your presence on stage.
Sharp we can't use.
Sorry?
Sharp voice.
Yes.
Sharp, I'm not sure that it sounds positive. So I wouldn't, it depends on the context. So I can't say that it's wrong, but then, okay, your presence on stage.
Confident.
Confident.
Natural.
Natural.
Mesmerizing.
Poised. Energetic.
Mesmerizing.
Okay, so these are, so what will happen is when you go without thinking of these words, we'll go back to saying beautiful message and lovely opening. So try to keep these words in mind as part of your spade work. Now, during the speech, what must you do? Obviously, you're going to concentrate on listening and observing. So do a lot more of listening and observing than you do of writing. And when I say listening and observing, what are you going to listen and observe? There are two aspects that you need to concentrate on. One is the content of the speech and the other is the delivery. So when I'm talking about content, primarily you will concentrate on the objectives. This I'm talking about when you're doing a prepared speech evaluation. But if you're doing an evaluation of a contest, then obviously you don't have objectives and you can ignore this part of it. You'll pay heed to the objectives, whether they are being met. The structure of the speech, did it have a proper opening, a proper closing, and a proper middle portion, or the body of the speech as we call it? You look at the language, what kind of language, the vocabulary, the rhetorics. Was there humor in the speech? Were there personal anecdotes? Was there a personal story? How did you connect with it? The props, the aids, like today I would have noticed that Nishchita had used props. She had visuals. So did the speaker bring in any props? What was there a take home value? Was there a message? All this within those 3 minutes, within those 6 to 7 minutes of the speech, you have to take note of all this in the content. And what will you notice in the delivery part of it? Again, the delivery does not start when the person comes and says good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It starts from the point when the speaker starts ascending the stage. What was the manner in which he or she walked up to the stage? Was it a confident stride? Did they look diffident? Was the head held high, or were they looking down? So all this adds to the confidence level of the speaker. So when you're looking at the delivery, all this will come into play. And we talk about voice modulation. Actually, voice modulation has several components to it. It's not just raising and lowering your voice. It's the throw. Now, often what happens is when we try to modulate our voice, it could happen that when you lower your voice, some parts of it are not even audible. You know, the voice tapers off towards the end because we think we are modulating. So all this, the audibility, the way the words were pronounced, the enunciation of words, the pace, was it very fast? Now, just now I heard Surya telling David, I wish you had paused a little. So the speed with which it's delivered, whether there was a pause, there was a variation, or was it a monotone? All this comes under your voice category. And then the next part is your body language. Your body language would be the gestures you make, your facial expressions, the way you moved your hands, the way you moved across the stage. And when I say expression, I must point out that this expression can come in both in your voice and your face. Like suppose you're relating a very sad story. You need to look sad, and that expression needs to come in your voice also. So all this gets noted in your delivery. Now, how do you present the speech? What is a technique of evaluation? I'm going to talk to you about two techniques. And this is one of the most common techniques, the easiest to use for evaluation. So when you're hearing a speech, create a table like this for yourself and concentrate on three aspects. What did I hear? What did I see? And how did I feel? Now, under heard, you will look at two aspects. Again, when I'm saying content, you would have heard anecdotes, you would have heard stories, you would have heard an opening, you would have heard a closing. You would have heard humor. You would have heard the objectives being met. So pick on these certain aspects of what you heard. And if you found something to be really good, you put it under strength. If something was not so good, you thought could be better, put it under suggestion. So if you felt that there was no personal story, you would say, I was waiting to hear a personal story, but that is what I missed. And I wish you had added that. So that would come under your suggestion. If you heard a very energetic voice, that would come under strength. All through your speech, I heard a lot of energy. You kept the audience hooked onto your speech because of the power in your voice. So that would come under strength, under what you heard. Now, what did you see? If there were a see is your body language, the gestures, the props, the visuals that the speaker brings up, and the confidence which they display on stage. So all this would come under what you saw. Now, what you felt, I think, is the most interesting part, because this is something which is not tangible. And this will change from person to person. Now, generally, everyone sees a confidence speaker. Everyone hears the beautiful language. Everyone hears the same stories. But what kind of impact did it have on you? So after listening to that entertaining speech, I felt happy. I felt very positive. And I'm going home with a good feeling. So that is something that you felt. Okay. You can also feel inspired. Somebody has told you a story and said, I felt inspired. I felt that I could also do something, contribute to this world. So that is what you will put under felt. So this is one kind of technique which you can adopt in your evaluation. The other technique which you can adopt is the what, why, how. What did you see? Why did you like it? These are the first two columns, generally would come in handy when you're analyzing the speech or identifying the strength. Okay. So what really did I like about the speech? I liked the way your face showed expression. So when I'm saying what, I should also explain the why. So don't make it generic, make it very specific. I like the expression in your eyes when you were relating that story, that heartwarming story. It added greater impact because of the expression in your eyes. So that would be my strength. What did I like and why I liked it? Similarly, when you're talking about recommendation, suppose your recommendation is please slow down or offer more pauses. So your recommendation be, what did you observe? I observed that you were running through your speech. So that is what I thought you could work on. And why did I think that you could work on that? There were several segments of your speech that didn't register with me. You were so fast that I couldn't hold on to a large part of your speech. And here in recommendation, you tell the speaker how it can be done better. So what you could have done is, you could have paused after this point. So that is how this technique works. Now, I've told you two of methods which you can adopt. There are several other ways also of doing it. Now, looking at it from the contest point of view, when you present, you prepared your work, your sheet, and now you're going to present it to the audience. Amita, will you please start on my 10 minutes of the Q&A and show me the light at 5 minutes. Okay, I hope to finish it by then. Okay. Okay, so we are now going to go up on stage and present this evaluation. How should you do it? You have only 3 minutes. How do you time yourself? You should have an attention-grabbing opening of about 2 lines, which is 15 seconds. Analyze the speech. And in this analysis, you give a brief understanding of the speech. Okay, the objectives were this, and this is how you met it. And I find that you met the objectives. Give an overall, a kind of a summing up of your understanding of the speech, and that should be for about 45 seconds. And then you list out 2 strengths, at least 2 strengths, and that again should be about 45 seconds. So by this time, you should have reached the green light. Then you move on to suggestions, recommendations which you give. Again, 2 recommendations with specifics for about 1 minute, and you would just cross the amber. Summarize in 2-3 seconds, where again you encapsulate all that you've said. And this would be about 20 seconds, so you'll go just beyond the red. Okay. And as I said, when you're presenting your evaluation, don't use words like should. I said don't myself. But you should avoid words like don't, shouldn't, must, and things like that. You could replace them with, I would like to hear something like this. You could do this, what generally works for me, what you could try, and phrases like that. And sometimes what happens, you have an amazing speaker and there are so many strengths. You've got about 5-6 strengths listed out and you have to choose 2. What you could do is, pick up the unique ones, what others are not likely to pick up. So identify the unique strengths and highlight them. Your tone, keep it conversational, cheerful, positive, and smile. Try to smile throughout. Not unnecessarily, of course, but trying to bring in a cheerful note to it. And don't only look at the speaker, try to look at the audience throughout, okay? And when I say start with an opening that will create an impact, for newcomers, you could equip yourself with some quotes, all-purpose quotes, such that if you don't think of anything else, if you can't come up with something else, then you can use that. If not, you can just use a general statement also. You can something like, nothing can be as heartwarming as a story, and you grabbed you got us hooked on with that story which you had. Or all you need is a dash of humor and a sensitive approach to make even a serious subject acceptable. And you managed to achieve that today. Okay, so something like that. Briefly review, analyze the speech. So suppose somebody has spoken about Switzerland. You could say with visual imagery, created with words, and spectacular photographs, you transported me to Switzerland. Something like that could become part of your analysis. And then, of course, when you're talking about strengths, it doesn't have to be what I liked, what I really loved, what I thoroughly enjoyed. Try to use different phrases. Suggestions, as I've already told you how you can put forth your recommendations. Conclude on a positive note. Remember, you have to summarize. So make sure that when you're ending your evaluation, you end it on a positive note. So this is a quick evaluation session. We would have done it. Generally, what we do is have a speech, get it evaluated and the like. But for beginners, I think I'll end with this. I'll open the floor to any questions if somebody has any. And Amita, you can just show me the red when we have to stop. Yes, David.
Good evening, Miss. It was a really nice session. Miss, I just have to ask, like last year I went for the area contest for evaluation, but I wanted to know, like, what makes a good evaluation and like what makes a better evaluation, like very good evaluation.
One thing, David, is being prepared coupled with spontaneity. Okay, you cannot come completely unprepared. You need to have a backup plan, because see, as I said, what, why, how, these are all just tips for beginners to start. But then you'll have to develop an element of spontaneity and try to find unique aspects. Now, things like, eye contact, that's something we will start with. You can say, I would have liked to hear more voice modulation, very generic. You could have moved a little more on stage, very generic. Be very specific that when you stood on stage like this, you had your back turned to the audience. You have to find, it's almost like nitpicking, but you have to identify those little things which others will not think of. And also you have to pack in a lot. It doesn't mean that if somebody had a wonderful voice, you don't talk about it at all. You cannot ignore it, but don't dwell on it for too long.
Understood. That makes sense. That'll give me good practice with the club contest that's coming up.
Anything else?
That's all from my end.
Any other questions?
I wanted to ask one question. When you have to say something like, say a criticism point or something, like a person went too fast or something like that, how do you actually say, other than saying that, you should have had some pauses like I used?
See, but the thing is, what you could have said, you have to pinpoint something. You have to pick up a point in that speech where he was extremely fast and say at this point, For example, when you were talking about this incident, you were so fast that I missed the impact. So you have to specify, say the entire speech was fast. But even then, you say, overall, your speech was fast. It was a fast-paced delivery. But I feel that in certain spaces, by just pausing a little or changing the speed, you could have created an impact and then give an example of it. You can't just make a blanket statement. It has to be validated.
And for every point of improvement, do we have to give an example of how we would have done it?
See, just give 2 recommendations, but give them with examples. Don't say, I would have done it like this. You could have done it like this. Something.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I can see the red light, and I'll hand it over to the TMOD, Sri Devi. Over to you. Thank you so much for the opportunity and for being a wonderful audience.
Thank you so much, DTM Soumya, for the wonderful session.
Bye.
Now I hand over to DTM Sudarshan for his report. I invite DTM Sudarshan to give his report. The virtual stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, first of all, I think we should all give a thunderous round of applause to DTM Soumya for that magnificent session. This is a session which you should record, listen, repeat it at least 3 times before you get up on stage next time to deliver your evaluation. The points were succinct, the points were very, very easy to implement, and something that each of you can keep as a part of your arsenal. And truly, as a mathematician, she's given you the formula, 2 recommendations, 2 areas of improvement. 2 plus 2 makes it 4. Keep it simple. Do not overcomplicate it. That should be the mantra for any evaluation. That being said, let's plunge into my session, which is the evaluation of the meeting in itself. Let's start right at the beginning. Let's start before the meeting. Before the meeting, we created a flyer. That flyer was circulated to everyone. Now, the one thing that stood out for me in that flyer was that there were not 1, not 2, not 3. There were 9 images on the flyer. What happens when you put so many images on a flyer? Your core message, which is the what, why, when, where, and how, all get lost. So if you look at the size of the font on the flyer, the time of the meeting is in white and the smallest size. The Zoom link is on the top right corner in the smallest possible font size. Your club name, your club number, etc., all invisible. And that becomes a problem. We are always interested in trying to project that the meeting is replete with a lot of speakers and everything else. But it is imperative that your core message, which is this is the club, this is the meeting, this is the time at which it is happening, needs to be crisp, clear, prominent, and displayed right bang in the center. So reduce the number of images and try and get the message of when the meeting is happening very, very clear. So probably you could have restricted it to 1 or 2 images, just the TMOD and the education speaker could have been enough, is what I feel. That being said, of course, it was done well in time, it was communicated properly, and therefore people knew that the meeting is happening. And I completely understand that today's meeting had 12 or 13 people, simply because it is that time of the year when people are winding down their leaves and leaving for home or wherever else that they're traveling to, and therefore attendance tends to drop in most clubs. But that said, I think the suggestion that I gave on the flyer should be taken into account, and probably the next time you will focus on that. Today's meeting, the Sergeant at Arms, and whenever David opens a meeting, the one thing that stands out is that he probably visits a dentist before coming to the meeting. His teeth are so prominently visible with his smile that it makes us all want to look, listen, and get enthralled by what he's trying to do. And today was no different. David came on the screen and I was actually busy with my phone and I forgot my phone and I kept looking at David. And he did a wonderful job. crisp, clear, and concise opening. Did not beat around the bush. The Toastmasters promise, the club members' oath were read out crisply so that we all realized why we are here. The only recommendation that I would have for David is we are reaching almost the threshold of 100 years of existence. We need to allude to that fact. We need to talk about the fact that we are present in 142 countries and we are a group of over 300,000 people in this current program. So that could have been incorporated, but I completely understand that time was of essence and he did what he could best, and it was absolutely exemplary. Next came the president, and I would like to describe her with 3 E's: exuberant, ebullient, effervescent. She took the mantle from David and then kept continuing with it. So she was also smiling, she was also prepared, and her message was one of positivity, one of encouragement, and it laid the groundwork for the meeting. And the best part that I liked was the fact that she did not touch upon the theme of today's meeting. And that is something that I always state in every general evaluation that I do. It's not the president's role to talk about the theme of the meeting. That's the prerogative of the TMOD. The only recommendation here again, do not use jargons. Do not use acronyms. SAA is not to be used. Sergeant at Arms is the title. So let's use the full title or just say the previous role player. The minute we start using abbreviations, it confuses the issue and it kind of brings in a little more casuality to the situation, which is not required. Minutes of the meeting were read out next. It was a detailed reading of the minutes of the meeting. It made me feel as if I was present in the previous meeting, whether it was the first TMOD or the second TMOD, the first president or the second president. I could visualize all of that happening right in front of me. However, again, the number of times TM was used by the gentleman that read the minutes of the meeting was about 16 or 17. TM so-and-so, TM so-and-so, TM so-and-so. Toastmaster. Toastmaster is what we are, and Toastmaster is the word, the term that we shall use. Next came the word master, and I believe the word master stepped in pretty much at the nth hour because the agenda had someone else doing the word master's role. So if it was prepared on the fly, hats off, because the word was absolutely in sync with the theme of the meeting and was something that could have been used a lot more. And I would request her right now, Roshni, if you did take a count of how many times the word was used, if you could quickly tell us by unmuting yourself. If not, we'll move on. If you have not done, just show me a thumbs down and say we can move on. Did you keep a count? Okay, she's not. In my guesstimate, we used that word about 5 times. Could have been a lot more. Nostalgia is a very simple word and a very relevant word to use, especially in these current times. Recommendation, if you're using slides at all points in time, before you start sharing the screen, make sure you've clicked on the slideshow mode so that we do not see the subsequent slides. And the second recommendation, which is a generic recommendation, never read the contents of the slide. All of us can read English. Bring your own perspective to what it is. So the word nostalgia means something. Try and demonstrate by using it in a sentence. But otherwise, I think it was a job really well done. The 2 speakers have been thoroughly evaluated, but all I would like to say is Toastmaster Nishchita was confidence personified. For a person delivering an icebreaker speech to stand and speak, for that person to have a technical glitch and yet not flinch for even a second and continue with the speech and deliver it with this level of confidence talks about 2 things: the knowledge of the subject matter and the ease of being on stage. These 2 are going to serve Toastmaster Nishchita in the long run in a very, very good manner. She is going to keep going, and I am expecting her to win accolades sooner rather than later. So all the very best. She is a civil engineer who's constructed highways, so I will give the same analogy. Her journey in Toastmasters is going to be smooth, long, and fast. Let's brace ourselves for this race car, which is going to run at 150 kilometers per hour on this highway. The next chap that came on stage, and the reason why I'm using the word chap is because his speech was so evocative of my college days, and therefore I will use the term that my professors used with me. Hey chap, stand up, is what they used to tell me. Toastmaster David came and delivered a speech which was heartfelt, which, as his evaluator mentioned, was a conversational speech, something that I could visualize as he was speaking. And to that extent, I thought it was a very, very well constructed speech, very relevant to each of us, because in our various aspects of life, we are all leaders in our own respect. And he forced us to introspect and learn from what our experiences are. The recommendation for you is your face is highly expressive. You need to use that asset a lot more. Just the arching of your eyebrows can convey 1,000 different things. So make sure that you incorporate as many facial expressions as you can in addition to everything else that you do. We then came to the next segment of our meeting, which was the table topic segment. Now, the first thing that I would like to say is the table topic master today brought in a set of topics which were very easy to understand, very easy to relate. And therefore, we experienced that even someone like our guest, Umar Koya, who came in just now from work, probably bogged down by the chores and wares of the day, could speak and speak eloquently. And that is kudos to our table topics master. The only recommendation for you, Mr. Table Topics Master, is that the topic should not be more than 4 or 5 words long, and preferably phrase it in the form of a question. And that question should elicit either a yes or a no answer. That's when the table topics become crisp and clear. So if I were to ask these questions, I would probably ask someone to recollect that most interesting memory from your childhood travels. Recollect that most interesting personality that you've met. That makes the question short and makes the person think. However, the recommended format is that it should be a question, and the question should be in the form of a yes or a no, so that the speaker takes a stance and tells you, I agree or I disagree with your question. That being said, I thought every single speaker did justice to the topics that was given. Especially, I would like to commend Toastmaster Umar, as I've already done. Again, confidence personified. Didn't feel like a first timer. I'm sure you have a member in the making here. Work on him, VP membership. This gentleman should be a Toastmaster very soon, and probably a very eloquent Toastmaster even sooner. David, as usual, crisp, clear, concise, but speaker Roshni. I was reminiscing those donkey rides that I took in Kulu and the hat that I purchased, which I was actually searching for as your speech was going on, because that was the power of your speech. You took me back all those many years ago to Kulu and to try and recollect my journey there. Nishchita was very poignant, talked about a personal loss, and it takes a lot of courage to not let your emotions get the better of you. And she displayed to us today why she is going to be a confident speaker. Next up was me. I'll not talk about myself. You all are there to judge the way I spoke. And what can I say about that power-packed speaker in this club? Her camera was not on, but I could visualize the romance that Tina and Satish were enjoying in their college days. I'm sure they must have been the talk of town in their college, and that continues to date. And she demonstrated to us how to tackle a table topic head on. Take it, don't beat around the bush, plunge the knife right into the heart of the topic and talk about her better half and why that better half is the person that she cherishes as her best friend. Can't be a better example of a greatly attempted table topic. The two evaluators, I would like to spend a little longer than the time that I spent for all the other role players. First up was Toastmaster Medhat, and she evaluated an icebreaker speech in a very concise manner. The positive aspects of her evaluation that I really liked was the analogy of the pearl necklace that she ended her speech with, to say that the pearl necklace requires a clasp at the end, which is your powerful ending. And the way she challenged the speaker was something very useful for most of us. Now, specifically, what I would want Medhat to avoid is rehashing the speech. Medhat spent a good 1 minute and 27 seconds repeating pretty much what Nishtita had said. She kept telling us that she said this, she said this, she said this, she said this. And that is something that was best avoided. The second is Oxford English Dictionary is a very, very flexible document. Every year it keeps adding newer and newer words. Hopefully, they would have listened to Medhat today and add a new word called structurized in the dictionary. There is no such word in the dictionary as of today. Maybe tomorrow they will add it and in brackets say coined by Medhat Siddiqui. Remember, the word is unstructured or structured, not structurized. So that is something that you should have avoided. Analysis should focus more on the mechanics of the speech. The speaker stood and delivered, the speaker's facial expression, the speaker's cadence, rhythm, pitch, and pace. Those things should have been covered in the analysis. However, it was covered in a very roundabout fashion, which is okay for a club level. But come the contest season, this may actually detract from points. Next up was Toastmaster Surya. She is someone that I've listened to many a number of times. And today again, she displayed aplomb in the way she plunged right into the evaluation. There was no time wasted with any inanities in the beginning. She straight got into the crux of the matter and talked about the fact that the speech felt like a friendly conversation. It was again very well reviewed from a mechanical perspective to say that the way the speaker spoke, the way the speaker's gestures were communicating, etc., which connected the evaluation to the speech. The good part was there was absolutely no extra material added, which was either a rehash of the speech or her own take on the subject matter. And that is critical. Whenever we evaluate, that is something that we need to keep in mind. The only recommendation, when we read the speech objectives, let's just read the speech objectives. Let's not at that stage try and bring in anything. Our evaluator spent a little time in commending the TMOD, which is in itself not a bad thing, but not at that point in time, because that's when the rest of the audience who does not know what is going to transpire is waiting to hear what are the objectives and how is the speaker going to attempt it. And as DTM Soumya mentioned, whenever we give recommendations, let's support it with an example. Show and tell sells, and therefore we need to always show and tell. Preferably, that is the best way to go forth. I am not going to evaluate the education session. Only thing I would like to say is that if it has been recorded, and I know it has been recorded, I would like the recording to be shared with me, because I'm going to listen to this very many number of times. And to DTM Soumya specifically, I want the rest of your slides. I read a few things below. I think the slides have a lot of rich content which can be used by all of us. So if you don't mind, do share the slides with us.
Absolutely. Sure, no problems with that.
Thank you. Now let me come to the woman of the moment, the woman of the hour, Toastmaster Sridevi, with her maiden attempt at being our Toastmaster of the day. Unfortunately, Toastmasters International is still not gender fluid. It technically should be Toastmistress of the day, but then I don't know why they don't use it. But let's, for the sake of continuity, call her Toastmaster of the day. First of all, the theme in itself, magnificent. This is a theme that is very relevant to all of us, especially for those of us like me who have not been able to travel back home for over 2.5 years now. Nostalgia is something that we all revel in, we all live in, and she brought it back. Dhara Dhara, Shuddha Dhara, that ad and that Jalebi was so evocative that I was taken back to those days when Ye Jo Hai Zindagi was playing on TV. And like her, I used to be the man on the roof trying to turn the antenna to make sure we were able to watch that cricket match that we wanted to watch. And this is what a good Toastmaster is able to do. Her opening monologue was an object lesson in how the opening should be. She went on with it, supported by visuals, supported with examples, and enraptured all of us in her delivery. And that set the tone and theme for the rest of the meeting. She appeared well prepared. Her mentor requires kudos as well, because someone that has worked with her has worked well, and that was demonstrated today. So that to that extent, the club has done a great job, because as a maiden role player, she has demonstrated a great deal of expertise in the way she did it. The theme, the delivery, and the preparation all showed through the meeting. If I have to give a few recommendations to our Toastmaster, one is try and weave the theme into every single segment of the meeting. The transitions were a little abrupt. So the opening monologue ended and immediately we transferred to the wordmaster and then to the prepared speeches. There was a possibility of bringing in the theme of nostalgia into each of these elements. Second is, when there is a transition from a segment to another segment, never unnecessarily add an adjective to a segment. The best segment of the meeting. I've seen a lot of Toastmasters doing this. The table topic segment is the most interesting segment of the meeting. Does that mean the evaluation is not interesting? Prepared speeches are not interesting? General evaluation is not interesting? Never add unnecessary adjectives to any segment. Just say that the next segment is table topics, an opportunity for every member to participate. The other recommendation, and probably not relevant to today, but as you go along, try to put the script away and speak from your heart. There is content there, there is preparation. When you hold on to the script or your eyes keep going up and down looking at the script, it breaks the connect with the audience. And that is not something that as an MC you want to do. So put that away, because it was clearly evident that she was well prepared and she was ready and raring to go. So the script was superfluous to what she had. All in all, I thought the theme and the way it was handled were both done with a great deal of aplomb and a great deal of dexterity. I would commend Toastmaster Sridevi for taking up this role and delivering it in this manner. All in all, I thought the meeting was well planned, well executed, and very relevant to the times that we are in. The education session was the icing on the cake, and this is something that all your members should benefit. So I would highly recommend take this and share it with your club members in snippets. Don't give them the whole thing in one shot. Break it into snippets and start sharing, because if you look at DTM Soumya's speech, there are many, many elements that can be taken and worked upon very easily by the speakers. So do it over a week or a 15-day period, they will all benefit out of it. Finally, as I conclude, all I would like to say is Showstoppers is a club that is created for being a showstopper, and today was no different. If any of your role players were to be put on even the DTAC stage or the World Championship stage, you shall be showstoppers. So go forth and keep conquering stages after stages, because you are the showstoppers of our district. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you so much for those beautiful words by which you ended your section, DTM Sudarshan. And indeed, for those precise suggestions, and surely they are thought-provoking, and it will be taken into account. A huge takeaway for all of us. I would like to thank DTM Soumya also for such an informative and splendid evening. It gave us an insight, and it was educative for all of us, whether new or old Toastmasters. I'm sure all my members have got a clear path to move ahead, and they're going to be benefited. Thank you so much. And I will directly go share my screen and present the awards. It is a token of appreciation from the Showstoppers Toastmasters to DTM Soumya from us for giving us into a great insight. Thank you so much. I would like to present this certificate to DTM Sudarshan too for being the general evaluator for the evening. Thank you so much. And the poll results. The best table topic speaker goes to Toastmaster Tina. The best evaluator goes to Toastmaster Medhat. And the best speaker goes to Toastmaster Nishchita. Congratulations, everyone. And thank you so much for a lovely evening. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you all.
All right, before we leave, could we all just take a photo, please?
Yes, let us all have a photo.
Yeah, just a minute.
Can I request everyone to on their cameras, please? We can have a memory picture.
Yes. All right, everyone. 3, 2, 1. All right, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, DTM.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. Take care.
Good night. Thanks.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, everyone. Good
Merry
night.
Christmas
Bye.
and Happy New Year.
New Year.
Christmas.
You all.